Dreadful Seconds isn't just a channel, it's a thriving community of those who love to be scared. Share theories, discuss plots, and connect with horror lovers from around the globe. Here, you're never alone in your fear. Are you bold enough to embrace the darkness? Like, share, and subscribe to Dreadful Seconds. Unlock a treasure trove of horror and keep the nightmares coming. Join us, and let your adventure into the unknown begin today. Your membership in the fear-filled realm awaits.
I've always loved old houses. There's something about their creaky floorboards and dusty charm that feels like stepping back in time. So, when I found a small, century-old house to rent just outside the city, I jumped at the chance. It was perfect, quiet, affordable, and surrounded by dense woods. The first few weeks were uneventful. I spent my time unpacking, exploring the nearby trails, and enjoying the solitude. The house had its quirks: the occasional draft, a persistent squeak in one of the bedroom doors, and a peculiar smell of damp wood that never quite went away. But I didn't mind. I chalked it up to the house's age. One night, as I was getting ready for bed, I heard a faint tapping noise. It was soft, rhythmic, almost like someone was lightly knocking on the window. My bedroom overlooked the backyard, which faced the forest. At first, I thought it might be a branch brushing against the glass, but when I went to check, there was nothing there. No branch, no wind, nothing that could have caused the sound. I dismissed it as my imagination, but the tapping continued the next night, and the night after that. Each time, I would check the window, and each time, there was nothing there. One evening, after a particularly long day at work, I came home to find the back door unlocked. I was sure I had locked it before leaving that morning. My heart skipped a beat as I cautiously stepped inside, calling out to see if anyone was there. The house was silent, eerily so. I checked every room, but found no sign of an intruder. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. That night, the tapping returned, louder and more insistent than before. I tried to ignore it, burying my head under the covers, but then I heard something else: footsteps. They were slow, deliberate, and coming from the hallway outside my bedroom. I froze, too terrified to move. The footsteps stopped right outside my door. My breath caught in my throat as I listened, straining to hear any sign of movement. For a moment, there was only silence. Then the door handle rattled. That was enough to send me scrambling for my phone. I turned on the flashlight and flung the door open, ready to confront whatever or whoever was there. But the hallway was empty. The house was silent again, save for the faint hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. Over the next few days, the disturbances escalated. Doors would creak open on their own, lights would flicker, and I began to notice cold spots throughout the house. The tapping at the window grew more frequent, almost nightly, and I started having vivid nightmares. The worst night came a week later. I woke up to the sound of heavy breathing, so close it felt like someone was lying right next to me. My body froze, and my eyes darted around the dark room. Slowly, I turned my head toward the window, and that's when I saw it. A shadowy figure stood just outside, its face obscured, but its eyes glowed faintly in the dark, like embers. It didn't move, didn't blink. It just stared at me through the glass. Paralyzed with fear, I watched as the figure raised a hand and pressed it against the window. The glass didn't fog, didn't move, as though it wasn't really there. The tapping began again, louder and more frantic. Finally, my survival instincts kicked in. I grabbed my phone, sprinted out of the bedroom, and ran out of the house into my car. I drove to a friend's place, shaking and barely able to speak. The next morning, I returned with a friend to gather my belongings. In the daylight, the house looked normal, almost inviting, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. As we packed up the last of my things, my friend called out to me from the backyard. "Hey, did you notice this?" he asked, pointing to the ground outside my bedroom window. I followed his gaze and felt my stomach drop. There, in the dirt, were footprints, barefoot, too large to be human. They circled the house, stopping right beneath my bedroom window. I left that house for good and never looked back. To this day, I can't explain what I saw or heard, but I know one thing: whatever stood outside my window that night wasn't human, and it wasn't just passing through. It wanted something from me.